Welcome back to our channel, The Historical Records. Today, we have a truly captivating topic to explore: the untold story, uncovering the history of the Russian private army. Private armies have played a significant role in Russian history, leaving an indelible mark on the country's military landscape. Throughout different eras, private armies emerged as influential entities with their own distinct characteristics and impact. One notable example is the Streltsy, a powerful private army in medieval Russia. Established in the 16th century by Ivan the Terrible, the Streltsy were musketeers who served as the monarch's personal guards. Their existence demonstrated the increasing power of the Tsar and the centralization of authority. However, the Streltsy became a political force in their own right, occasionally challenging the Tsar's rule and leading to periods of instability. Another significant private army in Russian history was the Cossacks. Originating as frontier warriors and adventurers, the Cossacks formed loose military communities that operated semi-autonomously. They played a crucial role in expanding Russian territories, defending the borders, and serving as a powerful irregular force. The Cossacks were renowned for their horsemanship, military prowess, and distinctive culture. Their independent nature often made them both a valuable asset and a potential threat to the Russian state. Private armies in Russian history were not limited to domestic forces. The country also employed foreign mercenaries, such as the Swedish and Scottish brigades, during the reign of Peter the Great. These mercenary units provided specialized expertise and bolstered Russia's military capabilities during critical conflicts and periods of modernization. The emergence of Cossack hosts marked a significant development in the formation of early private armies in Russia. The term Cossack originally referred to individuals living in the borderlands of the Russian Empire, particularly along the Dnieper and Don rivers. These frontier regions were characterized by a mix of ethnic groups and a unique socio-political environment. The Cossacks emerged as a distinct social group in the 15th and 16th centuries, known for their fierce independence, self-governance, and warrior culture. They were predominantly of Slavic, Turkic, and Tatar origins, and their communities were organized into loosely structured military organizations called hosts or stanitsas. Each Cossack host was led by an elected leader known as an ataman. Cossack private armies played a crucial role in defending the Russian borders and maintaining the security of the expanding empire. Due to their geographical proximity to the frontier regions, the Cossacks were well positioned to act as a buffer between the Russian territories and potential threats, such as nomadic tribes and rival powers. The Cossacks were renowned for their exceptional horsemanship, guerrilla warfare tactics, and deep knowledge of the local terrain. They were skilled in mounted archery, raiding, and conducting lightning-fast attacks, which made them a formidable force against both traditional armies and irregular adversaries. Their mobility and adaptability allowed them to effectively protect the Russian borders and launch offensive operations when necessary. The influence of Cossack traditions on future private armies in Russia cannot be overstated. The Cossacks developed a unique military culture and code of conduct that influenced subsequent private armies and even the Russian military at large. Cossack traditions emphasized values such as loyalty, bravery, independence, and a strong sense of brotherhood among comrades. These values formed the foundation of their military organizations and shaped their approach to warfare. The Cossacks were known for their democratic decision-making processes, where leaders were elected by the community, and their actions were guided by consensus. The Cossack military organization and traditions served as a model for future private armies in Russia. Their influence can be seen in various historical periods, such as the Streltsy and the Don and Zaporozhian Cossack hosts. The Cossacks' legacy continued to resonate in the Russian Empire, as private armies and paramilitary formations drew inspiration from their organizational structures, combat tactics, and cultural practices. The Wagner Group is a modern Russian private army that gained significant attention in recent years. Its origins and background are shrouded in some mystery, but it is believed to have been founded by a former Russian military officer named Dmitry Utkin, who goes by the nickname Wagner. The exact nature of its relationship with the Russian government remains a subject of debate. The Wagner Group has been involved in various activities and operations, primarily in conflict zones outside of Russia. It has gained a reputation for providing military support, training, and combat services in countries like Syria, Ukraine, Libya, and the Central African Republic. The group operates as a private military contractor, offering its services to governments or non-state actors involved in conflicts. Their activities have included providing security for infrastructure projects, guarding strategic installations, training local forces, and participating in combat operations. The Wagner Group is known for its use of paramilitary tactics and its willingness to operate in volatile and high-risk environments. There have been persistent allegations and speculations about the Wagner Group's links to the Russian government and military. While the exact nature of these connections remains unclear, there is evidence suggesting some level of association. It is widely believed that the Wagner Group maintains ties with elements within the Russian government, particularly with elements of the security apparatus. Reports suggest that the group has received support, including funding, equipment, and intelligence, from certain individuals or entities within the Russian state. However, the Russian government has consistently denied any official links to the Wagner Group, portraying it as an independent private entity. The group's activities and operations, particularly in conflicts of strategic interest to Russia, have raised suspicions of the group's alignment with the Russian military's objectives. Some analysts argue that the Wagner Group serves as a proxy force, allowing the Russian government to pursue its goals indirectly while maintaining plausible deniability. Others believe that the group operates with a level of autonomy, pursuing its own interests in conjunction with its clients. Russian private armies played a notable role in the Crimean crisis, particularly in the annexation of Crimea by Russia in 2014. During the crisis, unidentified military personnel, often referred to as "little green men," appeared in Crimea. These personnel, suspected to be members of private military contractors, were believed to have been involved in securing key strategic locations, supporting Russian forces, and facilitating the Russian takeover of the region. While the exact composition and affiliation of these forces remain disputed, their actions on the ground were instrumental in achieving Russia's objectives in Crimea. The presence of private armies in the Crimean crisis highlighted the utilization of non-uniformed personnel and hybrid warfare tactics as part of Russia's strategy. Russian private armies have also been involved in the conflict in eastern Ukraine, supporting pro-Russian separatist groups. These private military contractors, often linked to the Wagner Group, have allegedly provided combat training, equipment, and manpower to assist the separatists in their fight against Ukrainian government forces. The presence of Russian private armies in eastern Ukraine has raised concerns about their role in escalating the conflict and prolonging the fighting. Their involvement has been associated with various military operations, including offensive actions, defensive positions, and securing critical infrastructure. Their activities have contributed to the complexities and challenges of resolving the conflict in the region. Russian private armies, such as the Wagner Group, have also been active in conflicts outside the borders of Russia, particularly in Syria and various countries in Africa. In Syria, the Wagner Group has reportedly supported the Syrian government forces in their fight against rebel groups and terrorist organizations. They have been involved in combat operations, protection of strategic assets, and assisting in the training and organization of local forces. In Africa, the Wagner Group has been linked to various countries, including Sudan, Libya, and the Central African Republic. Their activities have ranged from providing security services for infrastructure projects to supporting local governments in their fight against armed groups or rebels. The presence of Russian private armies in Syria and Africa highlights their expanding role in international conflicts and their ability to operate in different regions. While the exact motivations and objectives behind their involvement in these areas may vary, their presence has raised concerns about their impact on the dynamics of these conflicts and their potential long-term consequences. One of the key controversies surrounding Russian private armies is the lack of transparency and accountability. Due to their private nature and often secretive operations, these private military contractors operate outside traditional military structures and governmental oversight. This lack of transparency makes it challenging to determine their chain of command. Funding sources, and legal status. The absence of clear accountability mechanisms raises concerns about their actions and potential abuses committed during conflicts. The private nature of these armies can make it difficult to hold individuals or entities responsible for any misconduct or violations of international law. This opacity has led to criticisms regarding the lack of transparency and the need for stronger regulations and oversight of private military contractors. The Russian government's relationship with private armies, such as the Wagner Group, has been a subject of official denials and ambiguity. The Russian authorities have consistently denied any official connection or direct control over these private military contractors, despite mounting evidence and allegations of links between Russian government entities and private armies. Officials maintain a stance of plausible deniability. They often portray these private armies as independent entities or groups operating without direct state involvement. This ambiguity in the government's position serves to deflect responsibility and mitigate potential diplomatic repercussions. While the Russian government denies direct control, there are perceived benefits to the utilization of private armies. The use of private military contractors provides certain advantages for the Russian state in various contexts. Firstly, private armies offer flexibility and deniability in military operations. By employing private contractors, the Russian government can maintain a degree of distance and avoid direct involvement in conflicts, allowing for more politically expedient decision-making and potential avoidance of international legal obligations. Secondly, private armies can serve as force multipliers, augmenting the capabilities of regular armed forces. These contractors often possess specialized skills, experience, and equipment, which can enhance the effectiveness of military operations. This can be particularly valuable in situations where the deployment of regular troops may be politically sensitive or risk escalation. Lastly, private armies can also serve as proxies, advancing Russia's geopolitical interests indirectly. By leveraging the services of private military contractors, the Russian government can support friendly factions or actors in conflicts while maintaining plausible deniability. This approach allows for a degree of influence and control without direct state involvement. Overall, while the Russian government officially denies direct control or affiliation with private armies, the perceived benefits of utilizing these entities, such as flexibility, deniability, and force multiplication, may contribute to their utilization in specific contexts aligned with Russia's strategic interests. The evolving role of private armies in Russian strategy presents both opportunities and challenges. Private military contractors, such as the Wagner Group, have demonstrated their effectiveness in supporting Russian objectives in conflicts outside the country's borders. As Russia continues to pursue its geopolitical interests, private armies may play an increasingly important role in advancing those interests indirectly. The utilization of private armies allows Russia to maintain a level of flexibility, deniability, and force multiplication in military operations. They can serve as proxies, providing support to friendly factions or actors without direct state involvement. The evolving role of private armies in Russian strategy suggests that they will continue to be utilized as tools to further Russia's objectives in conflicts and influence regional dynamics. The use of private armies by Russia has significant implications for international security and geopolitics. The involvement of private military contractors in conflicts outside their home country raises concerns about the blurring of lines between state and non-state actors in warfare. The presence of private armies, often with unclear chains of command and varying levels of accountability, can complicate conflict resolution efforts and increase the risk of human rights abuses. It challenges the traditional understanding of warfare and the application of international humanitarian law. The growing use of private armies by Russia may set precedents and influence the behavior of other states or non-state actors in similar contexts. Furthermore, the presence of private armies can also contribute to the escalation and prolongation of conflicts. Their involvement can undermine diplomatic efforts and hinder the achievement of peaceful resolutions. The use of private armies in conflicts where Russia has strategic interests may contribute to increased instability and geopolitical tensions in those regions. The utilization of private armies by Russia and other actors has prompted discussions on the need for enhanced regulation and oversight. The lack of transparency, accountability, and adherence to international norms and standards by private military contractors poses challenges to the international community. Efforts are underway to develop regulations and legal frameworks that address the specific challenges posed by private armies. These frameworks aim to ensure transparency, accountability, and adherence to international humanitarian law. International bodies, governments, and civil society organizations are actively engaged in discussions on how to regulate and oversee the activities of private military contractors effectively. The potential regulation and oversight of private armies are crucial to mitigate the risks they pose to international security and human rights. It will require cooperation and coordination among nations to establish comprehensive frameworks that hold private military contractors accountable for their actions and provide mechanisms for monitoring their activities. Russian private armies have a rich history that dates back centuries. The emergence of private military forces in Russia can be traced to the formation of Cossack hosts in the early years. The Cossacks, with their unique traditions and military prowess, played a crucial role in defending Russian borders and expanding the empire. Russian private armies have a rich history that dates back centuries. The emergence of private military forces in Russia can be traced to the formation of Cossack hosts in the early years. The Cossacks, with their unique traditions and military prowess, played a crucial role in defending Russian borders and expanding the empire. In more recent times, the Wagner Group has gained prominence as a modern Russian private army. Founded by Dmitry Utkin, it has been involved in various conflicts, including the Crimean Crisis, the conflict in eastern Ukraine, and operations in Syria and Africa. The Wagner Group and other private armies have operated with varying levels of official acknowledgement and have been the subject of speculation regarding their relationship with the Russian government. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe and stay with us.